Great. You can listen to me or you can listen to the traffic on the overpass. It doesn't really matter. Just quickly, just in terms of EOH is, and it's not the purpose of the presentation to talk about us. We're certainly today the largest technology and knowledge service provider to the mining industry in Africa. We've been a listed company since 1998. We've got a market cap of there and around 8 billion, which is about 4 times that of our nearest competitor. But really, when I thought about what I was going to present today, we looked at mining, and there's an awful lot of people presenting on mining. And if you want to learn about mining and the services we provide, you're more than welcome to go to our stand. But I think in South Africa, in the South African mining industry, we got a lot bigger problems. And I apologize, this presentation is focused more on South Africa than Africa. Okay, yes.
For some, the problem is lack of access to education. For others, it is inadequate skills. In this economic crisis, the problem for most young unemployed people is a lack of experience. They are caught in a catch-22, no job without experience and no experience without a job. At a stage in our lives where we have the most energy, the most drive, the most will to succeed, we have the least opportunity. Young people have fresh ideas, the strong ability to adapt, and the enthusiasm to make change. We want to be involved.
I think that video probably sums up an awful lot of the problems we have in South Africa, and yeah, I think they certainly supersede those which are actually happening within some of the strikes and some of the labour unrest. The reality of the situation is, with over 4.5 million people unemployed and 1 million people with education unemployed, we have got a serious problem in South Africa. If we're looking at a country that essentially we keep on saying has got scarce skills, and we've got graduates who come out of university, there's some kind of an optical illusion. And that optical illusion is around the fact that a university education does not equal a skill. The point of it is a university education plus 1 year's working experience does equal a skill. And that's why in many countries overseas we see the use of apprenticeships and other things that actually help people into the workforce. We don't live in a normal society. We've got elections coming up. We've got various political factions that aren't driving the country in a way in which we'd like to see it go. We saw it in North Africa already. We saw the Arab Spring. And unless we start doing something about this problem, we are going to have much more serious problems in this boiling pot that is growing in South Africa. I'm sorry for the squeaks, it's probably me. Hey? So the point is, and the real point is, we do not live in a normal society. We haven't got a normal set of economic conditions, and these need to be addressed. And I think... Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that the youth in South Africa make up about 75% of that unemployed is even more serious. And the real thing is that 50% of our unemployed have never worked. And every year they don't work decreases their chance significantly of ever finding employment. I think we, as business, ignore the problem. It isn't government's job to create jobs. It is government's job to create an environment in which jobs can be created. And I think to a large extent in South Africa that has been done. Business really needs to put up its hand and use what's been put in place by government to make it work. I see hundreds and hundreds of corporate social investment ideas, and they live the life of the idea. They live the life of the time the person has got the energy to drive it through. There is no one in South Africa who isn't trying to do something good. But really, I think Mandela said it all the time, that education is what's going to make an economy beat and getting people unemployed. So really, we are saying government has come to the party and done its job. Business needs to put its hand up and make these jobs a reality. And really we're asking a couple of things. One, stop moving jobs overseas. And I'm going to talk about that separately. The second is make use of what's available in terms of creating unemployment that's been put in place by government. And really start creating jobs by buying South African. In terms of the jobs we move overseas, we move call centres to Eastern Europe, we move call centres to India, we move call centres to the Philippines. And really, between the call centres, software development, application support, testing, this is the basis of where the entry level into the workforce is. The jobs are easy to train, they're easy to develop, they're easy to put in place. So really, moving those jobs overseas through outsourcing and business process outsourcing to us makes no sense in a country where we're trying to create employment. And everybody's doing it. And one of the challenges we have really is to bring those jobs home, because I don't think anyone has really done the full calculation in terms of what it costs to actually outsource a job. If you look at what happens in a financial services company. If a financial services company outsources a job to another country, we really are taking that job and giving it to another country to help them with their unemployment problems. The calculations aren't done correctly. The calculations don't look at the value of a customer for life. In the telecommunications industry, we don't look at the value of somebody who uses a mobile phone for life. So as a country, if you are doing any benchmark in terms of cost and value, there is absolutely no motivation to move a job anywhere except to keep it at home. So really, what we're asking our companies to do, and we're asking the mining industry to do, is to stop doing it. Really, if you have put call centres in places where the economy isn't supporting what it is we truly do, we're saying take those jobs back. Take those jobs back and really start looking at using South Africa as an offshoring hub. There are various funds that are going to help you do it from government, and we're saying make use of those funds and let's make it happen together. If you look at the scorecards, effectively there is a whole pile of stuff that we actually outsource to the UK. I heard a minute ago the Mining Indaba and the organisation is actually outsourced to the US. Well, I found that quite interesting, but anyway, that's a different story completely. Sorry. But post-incentives, where we actually sit in terms of cost, is we are very, very, very competitive. Over and above the fact that we're very, very, very competitive, culturally, we fit Western Europe and the US and Europe, and we're an easy country to deal with. We're a really easy country to deal with, and that's why people come to South Africa as the emerging market economy. Many people mightn't know it, but the Johannesburg Stock Exchange has been rated the #1 stock exchange in the world because it's regulated, because it makes sense, and South Africa as a whole benefits from that. Interns and learnerships, I mean, this just gets me completely. Effectively, a learnership is where you train someone for 6 months and then you give them on-the-job experience for 6 months. The calculations are amazing in terms of what government has done, and you can look at it quite here. But really, the net effect of you bringing a learner on board into your organization is you get a 30,000 Rand after-tax profit more than had you not brought that learner in the first place. So the government is paying you to bring these people on board. And these people aren't a burden on the company. So why aren't we using it? We're not too sure. Again, it's the bringing together of minds between government and the private sector. If you take an intern is someone who comes out with a university degree. Effectively, what it costs you to bring an intern on board in your company comes down to about 12 Rand 50 an hour. And this is 12 Rand 50 an hour for somebody who's really battled to get matric, who's dragged their way somehow to Joburg or Cape Town with absolutely no money, gone through 3 years of an education and come out the other end. One can say the educational system has got its problems, but I will guarantee you the motivation of these individuals when they come through that is so huge, and the benefit that these kids provide is huge. And remember, if these kids are given 1 year's work experience, they have got an 80% probability of staying in the formal employment sector for life. And that's what we're doing, building up jobs and building up skills. So when I come back to EOH, it's easy to kind of put some mathematics on the table and say that job creation is a good idea, it's something that we should be doing. Unless you actually do it yourself and test the model and make sure it's working, it would be not such a good idea for me to stand here and talk about it. So we believe, as EOH, we are not in a normal society. And we put up our hand and we said South Africa is not normal. So the second part of our purpose is really to play a positive role in society in the areas where we need that positive role to be played most. And that is in creating jobs for the country. And we set up what we call the Job Creation Challenge. And the Job Creation Challenge had a number of elements to it. The one was to repatriate jobs that we had passed overseas to other countries in terms of bringing them home. The second was to create offshoring hubs that can be used here. Whether we do business process outsourcing, whether we do call centers, whether we do software testing, monitoring, application development, on behalf of countries overseas, that's what we need to do. And really the last thing is making sure that we create interns and learnerships. I'll talk about the last point in a second. So that was 28,000 jobs. We said, let's put that as a target, and let's put that as a target in terms of filling by 2016. The last thing is, I walked down. I mean, we employ about 7,500 people now, 8,000 people, and I walked down to our corporate gift center, and I just started looking at the labels that were on the Nike and the Puma and the Made in China in nearly everything it is that we give out, between golf shirts, pens, calendars, everything I found in that corporate gift center was made in another country. So I said to my marketing team, I said, fine, let's make sure that anything, any gift, any promo item, any golf shirt, everything we do is made in South Africa. Now, we're a small company. I mean, I'm Irish originally, if you didn't get it by my accent, but yeah, I am. I'm from Irish by birth, Munster by the grace of God, if anyone follows rugby. But we had something called Guaranteed Irish. there is something here called Proudly South African. And I'll just tell you, we ain't doing it. It wasn't problematic at all to replace everything in our gift centre with South African-made stuff. And really, we put the challenge out there to industry to do the same. And with industry, we will create factories, we will create jobs, and we will create a much better environment. So in terms of our progress to date, as I said, we went out and we tested the scenario. We said, does it work? So the first year we brought on 300 interns and 300 learners, which was 15% of our total employment at that point in time. Following that first year, we employed 75% of those kids. We didn't employ 75% of those kids because it was good for corporate social investment. We employed them because the kids were great and it made huge business sense. We're busy onboarding the learners for 2013, which is another 600 people. I mean, that adds up to 1,200 people in a reasonably small company. We set up the Job Creation Challenge. We brought our partners, our business and technology partners together. And we think we're probably somewhere in terms of between 15,000 and 20,000 jobs that have been created through the small initiative that we're looking at. So really, I think we're saying the problem is very, very solvable. If every listed company on the JSE followed what EOH has done, and I'm not saying we're the shining knights of good in the world, but just followed what we believe has been really good for business, and that makes really, really good business sense, we will solve the unemployment problems of this country, make the economy a hell of a lot stronger, and make it a nicer place to be. And really, that's just the message that I brought here today. If anyone wants to talk to us about what we're doing in the Job Creation Challenge, more than happy to have a one-on-one. We got business cards and magazines at the back. But over and above that, visit our stand. That's more about mining services. But yeah, this is what's real and this is what's important. Thank you very much.